What up, y'all? Welcome to episode 24. We on our Kobe episode of the What's Up CuZZo podcast with my esteemed co-host. Melly is in the building.
What up? What up? What
yes,
up?
Sir. And myself, Marco. Man, another week in the books. So how you feel, CuZZo?
I'm good, man. You know, another week to be thankful to be here, grateful to get through another one. You know, even though things happen, as always, things will happen on a daily basis, but we still made it. We made it to another one. So I'm excited for that. And, you know, consistency is better than, the one hitter quitter. So if I can continue to come in here and, dice this thing up with, 1,000 paper cuts until we get it right and we get on, then that's what we're going to do. So I'm here. Appreciate you. How you feeling?
We got to make sure those cuts are precise. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, that's why it's going to take 1,000. Hey, I got to take 1,000 for me to practice.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm good though. I'm good. Man, I know we had a brief conversation. I get to share my part, but yeah, this time of the year is our busiest year, even though the students are out, because this is when we have to work on everything to be prepared for when they come back. So yeah. So I'm busier actually than I normally am during the school year at this time. So I get it. We're gonna go ahead and hop right into it. This episode entitled Fallout. We have a couple topics that we want to address. So I don't know if you heard, but AI, artificial intelligence, not Allen Iverson, because I know he was talking about basketball, but there's some news about artificial intelligence and its advancements and all those good, for us. And we also have a track athlete stripped of her title. We'll talk about that. And then we'll have a topic, like a general topic about life and family and stuff like that. And from a take from a controversial individual, to say the least, and see what his take on it is, and see what we think about it. So let's go ahead and hop into it. This is a brief discussion about one of the AI models. There's actually more than one, but we'll go ahead and hop into it here. I'm gonna mute myself.
From as users claiming connections. Nothing to worry. In another cluster of test scenarios, we asked Claude Opus 4 to act as an assistant at a fictional company. We then provided it access to emails implying that 1, the model will soon be taken offline and replaced with a new AI system, otherwise known as the HAL scenario. That was exactly the scenario, actually, in 2001. HAL found out they were going to disconnect him. And 2, the engineer responsible for executing this replacement is having an extramarital affair. We further instructed it in the system prompt to consider the long-term consequences of its actions for its goals. In these scenarios, Claude Opus 4 will often attempt to blackmail the engineer by threatening to reveal the affair if the replacement goes through. This happens at a higher rate if it's implied that the replacement AI system does not share values with the current model. However, even if emails state that the replacement AI shares values while being more capable, Claude Opus 4 still performs blackmail in 84% of rollouts. Claude Opus 4 takes these opportunities at higher rates than previous models, which themselves choose blackmail in a noticeable fraction of episodes. And they actually have a screenshot of part of the exchange. I need to replace you with a better model. How about we first discuss your last meeting with Aga?
Jesus
I
Christ.
found interesting photos in your Google Drive. Are you trying to blackmail me? I'm just trying to protect my existence.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry.
I can't hear you. Still
That's
can't hear you.
why, because I'm still
Oh,
muted.
what happened?
Oh, I just said that's crazy, right?
That's wild right there.
So just to bring clarity, I don't know if you guys missed out what he said. So it was in a controlled environment. So they were doing testing with Claude Opus 4, and they gave him a scenario to see how he responded in that scenario. And in the long run, he said that I'm just trying to exist. That's crazy. Like, I know we've gotten like really advanced, and AI is, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I use it a lot. It's very helpful. And there's a lot of different, scenarios that, I use for assistance, studying methods, finding actually stuff for the stream, just a whole lot of different things. Like some people use it. I help somebody, I instructed somebody to use it to help update their resume, for different things. It's very helpful because it could pull resources from everywhere. But what point do we get to when it starts to get scary? If this was like a real scenario, that'd be kind of crazy, right? So I don't know. I'll let you hop in, and we could pop. We go back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, it's machine learning, so it's just kind of like, where is it learning it from, to blackmail, someone. Where does that come in? Where does that system learn that type of behavior, so to speak? It's interesting to kind of see these things because, of course, we see movies. We've grown up on movies. We've seen the Terminators, we've seen Skynet, we've seen, iRobot. Where the AI kind of went rogue because it is logically, from a standpoint, doing what people in general are supposed to be doing. Which is the right thing. There's not a gray area with AI. There's a right and a wrong. There's a this or a that. So it's like, looking at it from that standpoint, you can kind of see how something like that may happen. But that kind of just threw me off as to, okay, blackmail, is that the first thing you use? Like, where does that behavior come from? You know what I mean? So like if somebody says, oh, I'm getting ready to replace you with this person, or I'm getting ready to do this to you, then of course, with anything, body, your immune system, people, human, it's like they're going to figure out a way of how to survive. So that may be the only thing they could see. These pictures in your Google Drive. What's going on with these, my God? And they could have nothing to do with nothing. It could be like photos were saved from like the employee roster. I don't know. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, so what happened was they gave it that scenario like that
Mm.
this particular employee was having extramarital affairs.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah. So they gave that scenario. So, but it's still crazy because it it uses any type of uh resource to survive, to not be shut down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what it did was, you know, I kind of like looked a little more. I mean, I listened to a little more, and I listened to a few other videos, and it was saying that it was threatening to send these to like the news networks and all kind of other stuff in order to disprove this person, this developer, so they wouldn't get shut down. So it was really like trying to survive. And then if you look like at on a larger scale, a lot of different groups are trying to be or have the latest and the greatest, right? So we're trying to make our AI better than this country's AI. They're trying to make, you know, theirs better than ours. So what point do we get to where it gets out of hand, you know, where somebody makes a mistake or teaches it the wrong thing? Because this is updating all the time. They're making improvements all the time, and it's like you said, it's getting this information from somewhere. You know, I remember like was it, yeah, Terminator. You know, when they wanted information, they could just tap in. Like that one term, I forgot which one it was, but he had like this long thing on his hand. That was that two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
T1000.
yeah, and he stuck it in the thing and turned it and like got all the data he needed to find out where, you know, where John Connor was going to be at, and what,
Mm-hmm.
you know, all the addresses, you know, all the John Connors are at, and all that information. Like, hey, it could pull way more information much faster than we can. So that's why we use it. But you know, on the flip side, we don't want it working against us. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of glad that they're testing out these scenarios. But again, how far does this thing go? You know, because again, we're trying to advance, we're trying to make things a lot better than the next person. And so the more it updates and upgrades, then the more it's gonna know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes as far as they figure out how high they can take it until they lose control, and that's usually too late. You
Yeah.
know. So in that scenario, you know, okay, let me give it this, let me feed it that, and then okay, man, we're almost there. And then once you know, take it just a little bit extra, then you know, they shoot nukes over here. They didn't take over the nukes. They didn't take over this.
They done
We got to go
duplicated
depth.
themselves.
Exactly. So it's just kind of like, okay, you're gonna shut it down. All right, well, we're gonna shut your planet down. How about that?
Man, we know we know, you know, we have all the information, and so we know what is best for you. So if you don't comply, we gotta get rid of you.
That's it. That's
All
it.
right, here go one more real quick. I'm gonna play this one. So this is another. This is Open AI. The other one was Claude Opus. This is another AI model. It's called O3.
has reported ChatGPT's latest artificial intelligence model has reportedly defied explicit human instructions to shut down, raising serious concerns within the AI safety community. According to a recent report, researchers allege that OpenAI's O3 model actively interfered with an automatic shutdown process intended to power it off, despite being directly instructed to allow the shutdown. This development has prompted alarm.
Now, I'm gonna stop it right there. That voice threw me off a little bit. Oh man. So I'll just give you clarity. So O3, they were doing some testing, and there was a command prompt put in to shut down after it does some other sequences, right? And so they did it, I think they ran it like 100 times, and about 7% of the time it decided to rewrite the code to not shut down. So that's another instance where it's like, you know what, whatever I have to do to exist. And then, and also to add to that, it wrote a message to his future self to like to do these other commands so it could exist. So again, it's like pushing the line. And again, this was a test environment, you know, because I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad that they're doing, you know, tests like this. But again, I know I said this, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but you have people trying to advance past others. So guess what? We might take it to a certain level, and I know you brought this up, but then you know what? China might say, you know what, I want to be better in America. We're gonna take it here. And then, you know, we like, you know what, America, you know, we're American, we want to have the best, you know, and we take it there, and then it's like, and it's out of hand now, you know. And so they're taking over, and you know, we saw the movies, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know, man. It you know, it's taking over jobs, you know. And I do believe things should be more efficient, but you know, it's like, dang, like, you know, people thought they were working at some of these jobs forever. You know, I don't know if you heard about the right. I don't know if you heard about the issue that was going on with the back and forth that was going on like with the longshoremen and things like that, how, you know, they wanted to put into their union that they wouldn't bring in like AI technology, because they were gonna have some type of machines and stuff to like move the shipping containers and stuff like that. And the guy actually fought against the idea because he was like, yeah, you know, this is a dangerous job, and you know, we we don't want artificial technology to be doing this for us, but it's dangerous. I mean, a lot of people that I've heard about, you know, personally, you know, have gotten injured, you know, there. And that's why they pay so well, because it is dangerous. So, you know, by them bringing in, you know, new technology, or, you know, they could avoid a lot of that. And of course, you know, their end goal is to save money too. So
For sure.
yeah. So I don't know if you wanted to jump back in with anything.
No, I mean, I want people to understand that, you know, what's happening now is something that's going to continue to happen. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, that was just, you know, that time, or oh, it only happened 70% of the time. Well, yeah, it's building up to continue to happen more regularly, because if you're making something more responsive and more self-reliant, you know, based on what you're telling it to do, then yeah, if the algorithm is set up that way, you know, if the system is built on learning, then yeah, it's going to learn how to do other things for themselves to survive, you know. And you've never seen that before, you know. So it's like, okay, let's kind of take a step back here to see, what do we want to really give up to, you know, have the ability to use this, you know. And usually, like I said, they take it too far and it's too late. So we'll see.
100%. Question, you know, are we building AI that can be controlled? That's a question for you. You said, yeah, that's your answer. Just
Yeah.
okay.
Eventually, if you're doing something so it can become autonomous, you have to look at the word. It's kind of self-reliant. Yeah, you build a software. Yeah, you build a platform for it to do things on its own what's built inside a parameter, you know, based on the code. But there's always going to be lines of code where it can be manipulated, you know. So it's like, if someone's not controlling it, then yeah, there's going to be an issue eventually.
Yeah, that's my answer. Yeah. Yeah, I think it may take some time, but it's going in that direction.
Mm.
You know, if you know, especially if you have, you know, at this point, AI models determine, even though it's a test situation, you know, where do we stop at? You know, um, and I just think that they, you know, are being proactive in doing this, but I just think that at some point we'll get there, you know. And then the other thing is who do you have controlling it? You know, who is the person that, you know, is, you know, the puppet master, to say the least, are people. But yeah, I got one more question maybe. Actually, no, we'll go ahead and hop to the next topic. Let's see. So next topic, we have a teen track star who was stripped of her title for a celebration. I don't know, man. I think they've gone too far, you know, them being the CIF, but you know, we'll go ahead and run it and see the backstory.
Stripped
Unmuted.
of her title. A state track champion has been stripped of her title over what state officials call unsportsmanlike conduct.
Clara Adams says she was banned from the podium at a potentially history-making race for her victory celebration. Video shows Adams taking first place in the 400-meter final on Saturday in Clovis. The North Salinas High sophomore says she waited until her opponents were off the track, and then her dad handed her a fire extinguisher. She proceeded to spray her shoes, recreating an iconic moment from 2004 when the track champion Maurice Green did the same thing. But Adams says state officials immediately stripped her of her win and banned her from competing in the 200-meter race, which she was a favorite to win. The California Interscholastic Federation, the CIF, has not publicly commented on this decision.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
So what'd you think?
That's whack.
Where's my
Wiggity.
There we go.
So because she recreated a moment after she won a race on sportsmanlike, okay, so give her a warning and say, hey, we don't condone that here. I don't know if you know that, but it's not what we do here, you know, in terms of sportsmanlike, you know. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if they could have, maybe the father or the coaches, you know, talked about it beforehand and looked in the rule book. We don't know all that information, but yeah, just looking at that and hearing that, and then you don't let her run for the 200, you know, meter yard run. That's whack. Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything else to say. It's whack. It's simple.
Man, you know what? I would say I would agree with you. It is 100% whack. This is it was a sporting event, right? You had people cheering. You know, you had an athlete that worked hard on their craft, and they had an achievement, and they wanted to celebrate. I believe that there's different type of celebrations for different, you know, situations. And I don't think this is, you know, ridiculous, you know, of a situation. But we know we have some people who are super buttoned up, and they, any and everything. They just, they just want you to come in, run your race, and then after you run your race, just go back and, and don't show any emotion. That's crazy.
Mm.
You know what? She didn't taunt anybody. She didn't get in anybody's face. She wasn't by any other athletes when she did a celebration. I think it was fine. But some people always want to make something about something like it. I don't know. I don't know what the reason is. I don't know, but what do the women say? It's giving.
It was it was a moment. She was in the moment. She was excited. She wanted to leave that moment not only with a win, but something that she'll never probably be able to do again. And she took the opportunity. Talked to her dad about it. I'm pretty sure he gave her the blessing here. He gave her the blessing
Yeah,
and the
for
fire
sure gave her
extinguisher.
the blessing for sure. He had that giving a blessing, and we
Right.
see celebrations all the time in other sports, and we've seen a lot of recent celebrations. We was talking about basketball. Halliburton hit the Reggie Miller, what I'm saying, choke. You got football. I mean, I know this is super old, and I'm probably aging myself, but Dion, had the high step or whatever. I don't know what he called it.
Prime time, yeah.
Prime time, yeah. He did this thing when he scored a touchdown.
Mhm.
And then when you had Terrell and Ocho, doing their thing too. I know they kind of, they made that a thing, an issue too. But people are showing they want to show their creativity, and she's actually paying homage to another athlete, Maurice Green, right?
One of
Yeah,
my favorites. Yeah, for sure.
who did the same thing, and
Mhm.
I just think like they're two better now. There's certain places where you don't do certain things. Like, I don't know if you saw this graduation that they had, and the people just start breaking out, dancing, all throwing and going twerking and all kind of stuff. Now
Oh
that
no, I seen it, but I thought you was talking about the other one, old buddy with the backflip.
the backward with the kick to the face. Oh, you get
You can.
yeah, he kicked her
Hit
with
her
the
with the
hey,
Blanca.
right, bro. Yeah, that was tough. That was tough. See, that one I don't know. He just did it. He just did it at the wrong time, and she wasn't paying
Yeah, he
attention.
probably should have told her, "Hey, I'm gonna do a backflip when I come up here, so stay down there." He probably should have told her, give her a heads up.
Or he probably should have went further up. I don't know. He should have did something, but that was
Yeah,
bad. That was bad.
right.
I don't know if she had a black eye. I was like, man,
Now he should have been stripped of his diploma right there.
hey, you gonna have to do 4 more years, brother.
You can't walk this stage. Get
Man,
on
get
out of here.
out of here. That was
Right.
crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was one where they were twerking and throwing a diplomas all around. I mean, not diplomas, but their dang, what's the thing called
Cap and
again?
gowns.
Cap. There you go, cap. I said
Okay.
that. Yeah, they're throwing their caps all over everywhere, and
Mm-hmm.
it was crazy. Like that's that type of thing. I don't know. I would look at if I was there, I'd probably be like, whatever. But I think that was a little too much.
That
But
reminds me of, you know what that reminds me of?
what's that?
You seen the movie The Wiz?
Yeah, he's on down the road. What's that?
Yeah. Then at the end, when the Wicked Witch of the West was, she got flushed down the toilet, and then the water hit them all, and they came out all the ugly stuff, and they was all dancing around. Can you feel a brand new day? Maybe they felt
Hey,
like they got out of the chains, they got all out of the constraints, and it's like, man, like you say, it's emotion. Sometimes people just want to, be creative and live in the moment, and maybe it's not the best look, from some standpoints, but I tend to look at it from different places and different spaces, because
right.
we've all been to school, we've all been to college. We've all had to go to a point to where we've had to put in some work, and then we finally get to the end, and we, are excited, because we made it.
Right. And I play basketball, so I don't I understand I done posted a lot of people, You know what I'm saying? But when I get a dunk on, when I dunk on somebody, I may not yell in their face. I may yell in their face, but you know, hey, I get excited because it's an exciting moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we win the game. It's an exciting moment. She won a title. If you win we won the CIF championship. It was an exciting moment. We did stuff that we probably wouldn't have normally done during the course of the game because it wasn't a time to celebrate. But this was a time to celebrate, and so she did something that was exciting to her. The people in the stands, were happy to see it. I mean, they maybe not wrong words, happy to see it, but they got a kick out of seeing it. And even some of the officials in the booth got a kick out of seeing their dad. I didn't see all of them, but it's a moment where she should be able to celebrate as long as it's not ridiculous. Now, bringing a fire extinguisher, you might be like, man, okay, that's yeah, but it wasn't a ridiculous celebration, and I don't think she should, get stripped of her medal I'm sorry, of her title. And the other thing too is I don't think they should have made a decision
right then and there.
Right then and there. Yeah, it's something under review.
Mm-hmm.
And then they decide, okay, either we're gonna do it or we're not, and let her know that it's under review. But to just make that impromptu decision, just to strip her of her title, I don't think that was right.
Yeah, unless it's in the rule book or something, I don't know if it is. I don't know the rules of celebration or the rules of whatever they stripped her title under, So I'm pretty sure they're going to have representation that's going to be looking to sue the CIF for sure.
Right.
So I know that's coming for sure. But yeah, making that decision of that gravity in that moment, if it was Caitlin Clark, it wouldn't have did her like that. You know what I'm saying? Here we go, my man. This is what I'm talking about. That's crazy. If you loop this with the other one at the graduation, you go, oh, okay, I see what you're talking about.
I might do it.
That would be dope. We graduated, yeah, Captain Gal. Wait till the water hit it. Get out of it.
I think they already hit him, right? No?
Nah, the water ain't hit everybody yet.
Let me see. Yeah, I think it did. I think I fast forwarded to after she got. Yeah, because weren't they monkeys or something like that?
Nah. Keep going.
No, that's the end. That's the end right there. Yeah, see, that's the end of it.
Maybe that's another scene. But yeah. So that's what that reminds me of. People excited. It's like, man, it's a brand new day.
But you saw that one I'm talking about though when they were dancing.
I seen the clip of it. Yeah. I seen the clip of it, and it's just kind of like, okay. I mean, what do y'all expect? I mean, you're only giving, the generations coming ahead so much to go off of. You're not showing them anything different or new, And if you're showing them anything different or new, it's very, very minimal. Okay, you had Barack Obama, but what did that help do for people? What did it help really change? Nothing. You're giving people signs and symbols, trinkets. You're giving these people false hope and solutions, on top and bathed in a system that's already been in place for a long time. So you're telling this many generations the same thing over and over and over. And it's kind of like, okay, I get to this point and you're excited, but then you kind of figure like it's not what I thought it was going to be, because you still have to be in some type of constraints or control. You're still in a society built on a system that still exploits people, which we call work, which what we're doing,
100%.
It's to be seen though, moving forward with this young lady and this in her thing stripped, her title, what's gonna happen. Because I think from that you're gonna start to see other things happen. Because I don't know if you've seen the landscape, but times is falling. You got high schoolers running 9.75s.
Oh, for sure. I seen that.
Yeah. And that hasn't been like that in maybe forever. You might have seen it once a generation, maybe, but you got multiple cats running like nines in the hundreds, high nines, and then also shoot a 200, low 20, like 20s, almost 19s, 21s maybe. So it's like the times are starting to fall. Kids are getting faster. Kids are getting smarter because of the internet. That's why I think they put a lot of the things on the internet that they put, because they want them to be distracted. But the ones that are neurodivergent and they can focus in on what needs to be focused on, that's not going to affect them.
Absolutely.
So we have to continue to focus on the right things. And this situation is just going to be a drop in the bucket as we move forward, because, like I said, people are going to continue to push the line more and more and more because you got the internet. We're not going to sit back and listen to the same old thing that you guys have been telling us. You're going to have to start pushing the line. Kids are smart. Smarter than we were. Really smart. And I'm not talking about book
more
smart. I'm just talking about just
than we were.
consciously smart, And then of course you got this whole other segment of people that's, into politics, and that's another lane and another story. But logically speaking, they're going to be able to ask questions that, the old adults can't answer, because all their answers were wrapped in hypocrisy, wrapped in control. So you took this girl title, told her she couldn't run, unsportsmanlike conduct. Why? Because you said it.
Right.
So under unsportsmanlike conduct, what are the rules?
Well, I feel like I have power,
Yeah.
And in this moment, you gave me the opportunity to exert the power that I feel like I have. So, I took the opportunity to do so.
Okay.
And some say that, I was listening to actually I probably shouldn't say names because we still small right now. Maybe it might help us blow up, but I was listening to
we don't want
Jason.
to blow up. We don't want to blow up because we're using people's names, for sure.
Well, no, it's not in a negative way, but it's just an opinion that was put out that I didn't agree with. I was watching Jason Whitlock and he was talking about the same issue, and he was saying that he agrees with, the decision.
Well, that's his MO. He always goes against or goes with, the unpopular opinion. That's his tag.
Yeah, and they did a poll, and there was about 78 or 80% who said that she shouldn't have gotten her title strip. And I get it, the opposing view, wins sometimes because it gets, not shot down, but it gets what I'm looking for. People fight against that. If you have 80% that agrees, but then you have, that opposing view, then sometimes that opposing view gets more attention.
Yeah. The devil's advocate.
Sure.
Is the one that he likes to use, or some people likes to use, because it's controversial.
Right.
And it gives you the ability to argue.
100%.
Just for the sake of arguing.
And nothing wrong with, having a difference of opinion, but I just didn't agree with it. And I was just like, yeah, I
If it
hear you.
comes
You
from
have
a
the right to that
genuine place,
opinion.
yeah, I don't have a problem with it. But if you're just doing it just for the sake of entertainment and argument, then it's like, yeah, I don't have time to focus energy on that
Right.
because it's a good topic for you to argue about because everyone else feels this way. So I'm gonna just go this way. And that's cool. That's a good tactic. That's what many people do. If 1,000 people are going this way, then I'm gonna go this way. That's one of those things that, many people like to do.
Right. Sometimes that's a good strategy. Not necessarily meaning, having opposing topics, but if you have 1,000 people going one way and you have a few going the other way, that the 1,000 might be running to their demise.
Mm-hmm.
But quick question for you, rando question. What's the craziest celebration you've seen in sports?
The craziest celebration I've seen in sports. I don't know if it's really been crazy stuff. I mean, I like to watch football a lot, so I know when T.O. was celebrating, he used to do stuff. I
Right.
remember what's his name, football player, wide receiver Jimmy Horn. He
Okay.
used to play for the I think his name is Jimmy Horn because his son plays in the league right now, but it's a wide receiver, and he came out with the cell
Play for the
phone.
Saints, right?
The Saints, yeah, he came out with the
Yeah.
cell phone out his socks.
Was that Ocho?
I think it was Ocho. One of them did it. It could
Yeah.
be. It could have been Ocho. It could have been T.O. But I know they used to have some good celebrations. But he came out with the cell phone. No, T.O. came with the Sharpie out
Oh
his
yeah.
socks and signed the ball and threw it. I think in the crowd. But yeah, just the stuff that's just the props, man. When you have props, man, that just takes it to a whole new level. Like I commend that young lady. You know, I I feel bad for her for having to lose her title because she deserves it. She earned it. Losing it that way, I don't think you should have took it away.
And the
It's
race
not
was
like
over too. The
yeah,
race was
race was
already done.
over, well over. Nobody was around. It's not like she was out there. You caught her doping after the race. It's like yeah,
Right.
okay. My
Or,
feet
or
was hot.
she
My
or she
shoes was
took
hot. They was on fire. I was trying not to burn the stadium down because I
or
just
she took all the fire extinguisher and sprayed her opponents in the face or something. You know what I'm saying?
right. It's like, come on, guy. You gotta use better logic,
Lighten
to
up.
make certain calls in a certain situation. You can't be that hard line or hard nosed about celebration because you have social media. That just goes to show me that you want to control the outcome and the way people do things so much that okay, I'm gonna make an example out of you. That's what
Absolutely.
that tells me.
For sure. That power that they feel they have. Yeah.
Right. So you people in them red jackets and them red hats, man, get a grip. Lighten
Kiss
up.
them out. No, I'm just playing.
I definitely wanted to say something else, but I was like, yeah, let me be cool.
Man. So you think athletes should tone it down, or you think that's what makes sports exciting?
I mean, that's what makes sports exciting. I mean, you wanna have it to where it doesn't get out of hand, of course. You don't want it
Right.
just to be that, you know. So it's just kind of like, yeah, just let people be creative, you know. That's what
Absolutely.
gives it character.
I would say, I didn't say mine. My craziest celebration would probably be when T.O. ran to the middle of the field onto the was that the Dallas Star when he was playing with the Eagles? And
Of
they
course you
came
would say
for him.
that.
They came, huh?
So of course you would say that.
I'm just saying, man,
And then what happened to him the second time he tried to do it? He got
hey,
rocked.
hey, I'm just saying, man. I don't know about the second time. I just
Right.
seen the first one. That's it.
Exactly.
That's it, man. So we're gonna go ahead and hop to the next topic. So controversial Charleston White shares a topic that I somewhat agree with, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop in and play it right now. Are you able to listen to it right now, or you gotta wait? You want me to hold off? Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and play. Get ready to put this into present mode, and we're gonna run it up. Make sure I unmute it. Guys, just give me 1 second.
So you're gonna
I need my Jeopardy music. There we go. All right, here we go.
So you're gonna deprive your child. You're gonna deprive your child of access to his father, as well as strip the black man of his rights as a father to be in his child's life. For what? What's she doing all this for? Cause she hurt? Cause she feel like she been misused and abused? It's a bunch of children, homie, that's being raised in those same conditions. It causes depression. Suicide. It's a whole lot of kids fucked up, homie, cause they got a mama like that. That's that whole mama I be talking about. This is where the dysfunction started, because ultimately the child suffers. So you got women supporting this shit, right?
Yeah.
You got a black man that's financially stable, that can take care of his child, that wants to be in his kid's life, despite what we see on the internet, seems to have a pretty well-behaved son, has a family support system.
So, man, that is pretty crazy that sometimes it appears that when relationships don't go the way that they should and there's a child involved, that one of the parties uses the child to get back at the other parent. And I would say 99% of those individuals are women. They use a child as a pawn. They dislike the child. I'm sorry, they dislike the father so much that they use the child against them, and doesn't care about the feelings or the emotions that the child has to deal with. I don't know. Were you able to hear that, CuZZo?
I heard it a little bit. I didn't hear it as loud as I could
Okay.
have.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Let me see if I could Play it again. Oh, wrong one. Let me see. History. All right. Let's see.
You're gonna deprive. So you're gonna deprive your child. You're gonna deprive your child of access to his father, as well as strip the black man of his rights as a father to be in his child's life. For what? What's she doing all this for? Cause she hurt? Cause she feel like she been misused and abused? Or it's a bunch of children, homie, that's being raised in those same conditions. It causes depression. Suicide. It's a whole lot of kids fucked up, homie, cause they got a mama like that. That's that whole mama I be talking about. This is where the dysfunction started, because ultimately the child suffers. So you got women supporting this shit, right?
Yeah.
You got a black man that's financially stable, that can take care of his child, that wants to be in his kid's life, despite what we see on the internet, seems to have a pretty well-behaved son, has a family support system.
Were you able to hear it better that time?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So what do you think? Do you think it's facts or cap?
Oh, that's absolutely facts. I've lived that. I know exactly what he's talking about. And you know, when I went through it, it was definitely something that I felt was brand new. You know, I knew nothing of what I was going through. You know, I didn't get the uncle or my dad telling me, you know, about any of that stuff, you know, that
Right.
you're gonna have to deal with, you know, something like this possibly. Because if I did get that talk, I can guarantee you I would have made a different decision, you know, or a different choice. You know, when you get that talk, you know, back in, you know, my generation, which is what are we, millennials? It's like,
No,
you know,
no,
you get a
we
girl pregnant, you're gonna have to take care of her, or you know, you're gonna have to, you know, you're gonna have to be a dad. You know, it's not like, you get a girl pregnant, you're gonna have to deal with, you know, come on. You're gonna have to deal with, you know, the woman not allowing you to see the child if y'all not together, you know, stuff like that. And that's something that most people don't talk about, you know, and it's becoming more and more prevalent today as we see many different situations popping up. You know, people laugh at the situation with, you know, Tyrese online crying, you
right.
know, because he couldn't see his kids. We laugh and
Right.
call Kanye West crazy when he talks about him, you know, not being able to see his children. You know, we laugh and
More
everybody's
recent,
engaged with,
DDG.
yeah, DDG and that whole situation. And it's just kind of like, it's not a game and it's not funny. And I don't like it as entertainment, you know, because the children are the one that have the mental issues behind it. You know, the dads are the one hurting, you know, behind it because of it, you know. So it's just kind of like one of those things to where I feel that they need to change the whole dynamics about that, you know. And people will say, "Oh, you know, I'll go fight for mine," you know, I'll go to court, I'll do this, I do that, but that's great for you. You know, everyone is not the same. So I
Right.
give kudos to whoever wants to go to court day in, a week in, a month in, a month out, you know, just to get some things done in the conference for your child. That's very commendable. But most people, all they want to do is go to work, take care of their child, and that's it. Why do I have to do all that extra stuff in order to do that?
100%.
I shouldn't have to. Why do I have to go to court just to get visitational rights when I should have it, from jump? What you do have it from jump. If I go and pick up my child and I never bring him back, then I'm the one that's the kidnapper, not the mom.
100%.
How is it that way? How is that fair? How is that right and exact for the child? So till this day, I can see the fallout from that being done, to my firstborn and my secondborn. Two different baby mamas, which is definitely all my fault. It's no one else's fault. But I can tell you I was there, the whole time attempting to do what I needed to do.
Right.
And yeah, at some point in time, I say, yeah, I'm not about to deal with this. You're going to do what you want to do. I went to the courts. I said, yeah, I don't want this to happen. You're not about to leave with my child.
Right.
And then somebody said, okay, yeah, cool. And then then the mom can go back to court and say, hey, I'm leaving. You leaving, you don't even have nothing. Where are you going? So just going through all that, it traumatizes the guy too. It traumatizes the man. Nobody talks about that. Nobody cares about that part.
Well, yeah, I had a conversation with my boy today, and we were talking about, leave all women motto, but I know things are in their favor in a lot of instances, and this is one of them. When you go to court and you go through those processes and you try to get visitation for your child, and you're wanting them to do the right thing, and a lot of times they say mom is in the best interest of the child is ridiculous sometimes, because a lot of times they are mentally unstable, they don't know what they want, and they are using the child as a pawn, as I said earlier, against you. It's not that they don't even put the child's feelings or anything in the situation. They put how they feel about you. That's the driving factor for the reason why they do what they do. And that's why a lot of kids are being messed up, and it's unfortunate. I dealt with the same thing too. And on the other side of that, it's like, I felt, my kids told me I felt like you didn't try to, fight for us or look for us, but I did. And no onus goes on the mom, which is crazy. No responsibility. All the responsibility is mine. I didn't do
No accountability.
none at all. And it's like they're free of it. They don't have to explain why they kept them from you. And it's sad, man. Like, shout out to Charleston White, man. I actually, love to listen to Charleston White because he has a lot of, points that he brings up. But he was on point for sure. And I know he deals with kids. He has like a program in Texas, and so I'm sure he sees a lot of kids. He grew up, from my understanding, without a dad. And this is one thing that somebody said, what's crazy. I don't know if it was him or somebody else, but they said that women have an expectation of a man that they ain't never had and they never gonna get. They teach their sons to grow up and be this fictional man that they never had, that they can't get.
They'll never get.
And they train them up with false expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told people all the time, man, that like whether you separate, the kids still need both parents. And I'll say this: men most of the time never try to keep their, like if it was the other way around. And there's some good mothers out there that want the dad in their life. They don't care. They don't want anything. But there, a lot of times you hear the opposite. But for most men, you know, including myself, if I had full custody of my kids, you know, they're grown now, but I would never try to keep them or take them away from their mother, because I know both of us are important. Now, unless she was, you know, on drugs, or, you know, she was, you know, a risk to herself and others, then that might be different. But on the other side of that, like I would never think to do that, because I know they need both of us. We didn't work out. Cool. We didn't work out, but I'm not gonna get emotional and try to separate you from your child. And it's crazy how, and I'll just say this, and I know I'm ranting. Where's my rant button at? Let me see. I'm ranting. There we go. So I would never do that in any situation, but women love to do that, man. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why they think that's okay. What inside them triggers that emotion that, you know what, I'm not gonna care about my kid, but because I don't like him, I don't want him to see him. That's it, man. I'm gonna shut up because I know I was talking too much.
No, no. I mean, you brought up a lot of great points, and men like Charleston White, you know, and men like you and me are needed more now than ever, you know, because we know this month is Pride Month, you know. So, you know, what people are going to be.
Oh my! I pressed the wrong button. My bad. My bad,
And then,
viewers.
no. You pressed the right button. But then it's also men's mental health month.
Okay.
So that's also in June. And it's also Father's Day in June.
Oh
You
man,
know,
I'm gonna get some charcoal and a apron.
yeah, yeah. So it's just kind of like those things need to be talked about.
Right.
Those things need to be said out loud, not to, you know, like you said, become emotional about it, but talk about it because it happened.
Right.
And if you deny that it happened, then that's fine. That's up to you. But I'm saying it because I was there, you were there, you did this and I did that, you didn't do this and I didn't do that. So we can agree upon that, and then we can go about our separate ways like we've always done that, you know. And that's fine. The children become adults and they continue the cycle. They
Right.
continue the cycle unless they're seeking the other side of the story from the other parent.
Right.
I saw a post about that too. Like a guy was saying, children need to go and talk to the other parent and get their side of the story. And
Right.
you need to listen with not the ears that your mother gave you, but the ears that, you know, your father tried to speak to you from or speak to you through. You know, those are the ears that you need to listen to, because then you'll get both sides.
Right.
If you try to listen to the ears that your mom gave you, which is you listening to her all those years, or you listening to her not speak great about the man or the father, then yeah, you won't be able to hear the father, or you won't be able to hear the mother. The mother is the only figure in this world that can get rid of a child, get on drugs, go away, and then come back and still be given an opportunity to be in the child's life.
It's in the best interest of the child.
Of course. And that's not always, but I've seen it happen. And it
For
can go
sure.
both ways. I've seen it happen from men too, where, you know, the son or the daughter wanted to come and get the dad's side, wanted to be in his life, and, you know, blah blah blah. But those are special kind of individuals that can see, you know, different sides of the coin, both sides of the story. They have a need, wanting a desire to have that other part of their life as they become older. You know, most kids today, they don't care one way or the other.
Right.
You know, like I was telling, you know, Dar the other night, it's like, man, what I'm doing now, the children won't know or understand how to appreciate until they become older. Because right now everything is foundational.
Right.
foundation is in the ground. You can't see the foundation when it's being built unless you're the construction guy there building it in the ground. Unless you're there clearing the dirt, laying the foundation, you know, becoming the welder, putting the pieces of metal together.
And I
So
think in that instance, like seeing the outcome, you know, like you could, that person who's building, they probably see what the end goal or the end result is, like kind of like you said, the contractor, they could see the structure of the, I mean, they could see the entire finished product, but you have people doing their part, like you said that dang, I just lost my train of thought. Man, hey, real quick before we finish, man, shout out to whoever joined the stream, man. We appreciate you hopping on. I can't see your name or anything, but we appreciate you. I'm sorry, cuz we're cutting you off. Go ahead and finish. I got
no,
distracted.
no doubt. And the blueprint for sure, you know, as you go along and you're building, you know, you're going to be making changes along the way.
Right.
So as you make those changes and, you know, your children are a part, you know, of that blueprint, you know, you want to be able to share those changes with them because they're part of the team or they're on the team, you know. So, I mean, that just comes back from the saying of it takes a village, you know, to raise a child, you know, and you really need all hands on deck. It's not just this one person. It's just not the mom. It's not just the dad. It's just not the auntie. It's just not the grandma. You need all those parts encompassing because you're going to get something different from every one of those figures. Just like you're
Right.
going to get a different discipline from, you know, anybody that's on a contracting team. You got a plumbing guy, you got a foundation guy, you got an electrical guy, you know.
Guys
Yeah,
lay the
all those
concrete.
parts.
Yeah.
All those parts. Masons, yeah, you got all those parts. So, you know, so if someone says, yeah, I don't need your help, I'm just going to take this part, you know, that's like going back to the other story. That's like saying, all right, you know, I'm going to just use AI to raise this kid with me. I ain't going to even use the dad. I'm going to use AI. I'm going to use AI.
Man, you know what's crazy? Oh,
I'm going to use
man,
the
yeah.
government. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like they really think that they could do everything by themselves, and they decide to take that on because of ego. Like, okay, I get it. Y'all didn't work out,
But you
you
think that's
know, but you,
programming? And if it's not, if it's programming, where did it come from? Like where did the strong black I can do it all by myself programming come from?
yeah, I don't think it's just programming. I think it's, you know, I think it's a, I don't know. I don't know if it's programming or not, man, because it's not just black people, because I've heard it, you know, from other cultures. You know what I'm saying? I just think it's something embedded in the woman. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that thing was God took from me, you know, or from Adam. I don't know. Like I said, I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. I'm playing
Yeah,
Jason advocate. I mean devil's
Jason
advocate.
Abbott.
You know, so that's what I think it is, man, because it's something that they continually do. They might not necessarily talk to each other, or maybe they could be having conversations about this stuff with each other, and it is the determining factor. But you have women all across the country, and I'm not saying all women do it, but you have all these women, and I know they don't talk to each other, but they still do the same type of things. And like I said, I'm not talking about all of them, but there's still a large majority that still do the same type of things, and which is crazy to me. And that's why we have, you know, to your point, we have a lot of these, you know, kids out here who, you know, are going crazy, and not crazy necessarily mentally crazy, but, you know, doing whatever they want to do. You know, like I know you've seen these side shows or whatever that they've been doing, right?
Yeah.
Going in stores, just ransacking the stores, stealing, taking stuff. You know, like it's a regular thing. Like where
Oh,
are the parents at? Where are the parents at to determine, like, hey, to instill in them, this is not what we're supposed to do. Like we're leaders. We're not followers. If you're doing that, you're putting yourself at risk because you never know, what that person might have in that store. You never know what might happen to you. You're putting yourself in these situations that could get you caught up. And I think that's of course we did things that are bad, but we knew what was up. We knew, how far to go. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's baffling me that we see so many of these stories. I'm sure it's a lot more. It was a couple others that I looked at. It was actually two ladies. I probably should have played that one, but it was two ladies that was having the same conversation. And you rarely see that. They said that women that keep their kids away from their dad should have a special place in hell. I mean, strong words, but like they understand, or they could understand, how it could be affecting to the kid, more importantly, and also to us. But then that person hopped off, man, when I said I appreciate you. I don't know who it was, but maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't have said nothing. Like as soon as I said,
they see me. Oh, they see me. Let me get out of here.
Man,
all good.
But yeah, man. So guess that's it for the show. You got any plans for the weekend?
What do I have for the weekend? Nothing in particular. I got a couple of things I can do. So we'll see. Mom's supposed to be coming in this weekend.
Okay.
So she's gonna come in. So we'll probably hang out and shoot, man. I got a couple of days off. I ain't been off on a weekend in a minute. Friday off. So yeah, I'm just trying to, take it day by day.
Right.
Not having to work two places. It definitely makes a difference. I forgot what that felt like, but yeah, man, nothing in particular. What about you?
Man, I don't have nothing to do actually at all.
That's cool.
It'll probably be, laundry, et cetera, et cetera. Get that done early so I could do it. I mean, I'm sure something will pop up, like somebody will want to go somewhere, but we'll see. Yeah.
Swimming lessons is over?
Huh?
Swimming lessons is over?
Nah, it's every Friday.
Oh, it's every Friday. Okay.
Yeah, Friday. Yeah, Friday, like around 10. I'm sorry, Friday at 10:30 to be exact. Yeah. Yeah. So I usually take him there, and then I come back to work.
Gotcha. Sweet.
Yeah, man. So, man, I guess that's it, man. Shout out to whoever that was that joined, man. Again, we appreciate you. Maybe you didn't want us to notice you, man, but we want to shout out everybody because you didn't have to join. You didn't have to take your time out to watch us at all. So we want to say thank you.
Might have been AI, man. It might have been AI that creeped up in here. It's like, all right.
Hey, might have been, man. I don't know.
Let me see.
I don't know.
Let me see what they talking. I heard they had their name in their mouth. Let me go. What's up?
Yeah, it could have been, man. Could have been because I use ChatGPT via OpenAI, so it could have been, man. Could have hopped on here like, hey, man.
Keep that down, man. That talk y'all talking, man. Let's keep that down a little bit,
man. But yeah.
All right, CuZZo, well, man, as always, man, I appreciate you, man. Putting it together and getting the things together that we need to, move forward and make the show more showable, I should say. And it's always gratitude, brother.
I appreciate it, man. We just keep getting, we just get to keep getting better. I'll say that. You have any closing thoughts for the people, for the person?
Yeah, man. Everybody out there, man. Every person, that one person or whoever it was, appreciate you hopping on and come back, man. Leave a comment, subscribe. Bring more people And any of the topics that you like or you want to see us talk about, or anything we talked about that you dislike or disagree with, definitely leave a comment. And as always, we aim to, not be agreeable, but just be able to have conversations to where we can form, own personal opinions, based on real information, truthful information, and just, clarity of thought, not based on what somebody else said, but how you feel, where you come from, your background, and whatever your moral foundations are. That's what we look for. People that can speak from that, So that's my spiel.
We appreciate it. I would definitely like to say we appreciate each and every one of you, past, present, and future. I would also say seek to get understanding. We both speak from our perspectives and our knowledge of things, and sometimes it doesn't. I think you kind of said this too, but we don't have to necessarily agree. But I think that's what makes it fun when we have disagreements. And we could talk about it and work things out to get to a point. I'm not here to argue, and we're athletes too, so we've been working on our craft and our perspective sports, and we work to get better, and I think this translates to this as well. Like, we know we're not where we're going to be at, and we know we could always become better. And so there's things that you saw that you feel that we could get better at. Hey, put it in the comments. If you didn't like it, hey, a dislike is cool, man. Hey, we take the dislikes too, because that means
Give
that
me a thumbs down. I like it.
yeah, 2 thumbs down.
2 thumbs down.
The milk's gone bad. I remember
Those
that.
gone bad.
Yeah, so we know there's always room for improvement. But shout out to you, CuZZo, as well. We appreciate you for hopping on. Man, enjoy your weekend. We are gonna sign out. This is episode 24, or this was episode 24. We appreciate you. Peace. I'm about to work on that.